Welcome back to Derriere Farms. Today's video is a little bit of a different video than I typically make for this channel, as it's more of an editorial piece than it is a how-to video or a review video. It's also a video I've struggled with a great deal in making over the past couple of weeks, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But one of the reasons was I wanted to make sure I hit the right tone in the video, and I have probably recorded and deleted this video 7 or 8 times, and I even got to the point where I wasn't going to make this video. Then last night something happened. I got up today and the channel had passed the 400 subscriber mark. Now I know that's not a big deal for, well, when you compare it to the big channels. But for me it's a big deal because it means this channel is on the right path and it is growing. If I look at the YouTube analytics, the subscriber count has been going up steadily, and it's definitely trending in the right direction. As I said in the previous video, it also means we are on our way to becoming recognized by YouTube as an official channel, as opposed to just a fly-by-night channel, according to YouTube's metrics. That I'll also talk about a little bit later. However, it kind of made me sit back and think. It made me think about why I started this channel in the first place. When, as I've mentioned before, when Farming Simulator 22 was announced, I decided to start this channel because I realized how complicated Farming Simulator 22 was going to be compared to previous versions of the game, and I wanted this channel to be a channel that helped people learn about Farming Simulator, its mechanics, and how to get the most out of the game. It also made me think for a minute about each one of you that have taken the time to subscribe to the channel. And I realize the view to subscription ratio doesn't always reflect that. I won't go into the metrics of how many viewers turn into subscribers, but hopefully those of you that appreciate the channel will subscribe the more content I make. It also made me think about the fact that each one of you that have taken the time to subscribe probably means I've helped you out in a significant enough way that it has helped you with the game. If you didn't find the content useful, you wouldn't be subscribing. And bear with me as I try and... I'm collecting my hay. Or trying to collect my hay. Sheep need grass, not hay. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that for you have taken the time to subscribe, like I said, means you have put your faith in me. You trust me to deliver honest content and reliable content that represents Farming Simulator. And my job as a content creator is to continue delivering content to you that will make you want to subscribe. So you put your trust in me and I put my trust in you. And for that reason, I really feel that I needed to get this off my chest. So without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I am, and I have been, a long-time supporter of the Farming Simulator franchise. My first version of Farming Simulator was on CD. It was 09, and then when it got released on Steam, and I still have a copy of it on Steam, it was Farming Simulator 11, and I've owned every copy of Farming Simulator ever since, including DLCs. I had to put you on pause for a second while I checked something. Now, there were a few DLCs along the way that I didn't buy, but not many. As for Farming Simulator 19, I have over 4,000 hours of playtime on that game, and, well, I'm racking up the hours, definitely racking up the hours with Farming Simulator 22. Making content definitely helps rack up those hours because, well, I'm not just playing. A lot of times I have to redo the content if it didn't work out properly. Or if I'm testing something, I will have to run the same scenario 2 or 3 times to make sure that A, the results are consistent, and let's say I'm comparing crops, I have to make sure that I'm harvesting the same field with the same size so that, again, I get consistent results out of that. So yes, that's definitely helping me rack up the hours in this game. But unfortunately, and this is like why I said it was such a difficult video for me to make, I love Farming Simulator, but I feel there is something wrong with the Farming Simulator franchise right now. And the reason I say that is because my most popular videos, well, a 50-50. Some of them are how to do something, like how to maintain your vehicles at a reasonable cost, so you're not spending a fortune on vehicle repair all the time. And the rest of my very popular videos that have got a lot of watch time are either about game-breaking bugs or how to work around those game-breaking bugs. And I was thinking, I've never had that problem before. I've never had game-breaking bugs, or at least ones that lasted for a long time, like I have, or we're having in Farming Simulator 22. And I'm talking about things like, the disappearing contracts, the pallet limit, the fact that Xbox players, well, I mean, it was a good thing and it was a bad thing. They had their storage space doubled, but in the process they had all their mods deleted, and that in itself led to all sorts of issues. Now, I can't help console players with that because I don't play on a console. I'm lucky because I play on the PC. And I have a pretty good PC, so the pallet limit wasn't a problem for me. I didn't have all my mods deleted. I have access to extra animal pens through scripts. Like I said, it was a script that allowed me to keep my unlimited pallet limit, which unfortunately console players don't have access to. And if I was a console player, I would be pretty upset. But in terms of PCs, like I said, it's a pretty decent PC. It's not the best. It is, in fact, by far the best. It's a $1,600 PC when I got it. It's maybe 1 or 2 steps up from the Xbox Series or the PlayStation 5 in terms of AMD technology. But I don't have the limitations you guys have. Let's take a look at my cow pen. I can't add another cow pen because, well, I haven't installed the extra cow pen mod, and really I don't need to. All I did was I modified my cow pens to go from 80 cows, and they now hold 300 cows. Same with my pigs, they hold 400. And part of the reason I didn't download the mod to allow me to have extra pens is I'm limited for space, so I would rather modify the animal pens to hold more animals and still take up the same amount of space than I would having to have double or triple the amount of animal pens. Again, sadly, console players can't do that. Now, I'll go through, well, first I'll say I am still running, just because it's so convenient, the Pallet distribution warehouse. Before that came out, yes, I was running the script that allowed us to stay with more than 300 pallets on the PC. But I'll quickly go through my daily game just so you can see what I'm talking about. This is now my daily game. I start off in the morning, and I've sort of done it. I did part of it. I'll go through my chicken coops. I'll move any egg pallets that need to be moved. I'll load them onto a trailer, and when I'm ready, I will take them to the distribution warehouse. I do the same with my honey pallets. I load them up, and then I get my truck, my bigger trailer, and I drive around my sheep pens, and I load up the pallets from my sheep pens, and I take those to the distribution warehouse. Now, I used to, especially before this farm got so big that it took up most of the map, my morning would consist of, or my initial morning, feeding the cows and pigs. Then I would pick up my auto-load trailer and I would drive around the map, and I would pick up products from the dairy, drop off milk, still pick up all the animal, the wool, all that. I pick up from the bakery. I don't think I have anything left at the bakery right now. I would take any flour I needed to the bakery or to the sell point. Here's an example here. I still have, and I haven't picked them up yet and taken them to the distribution house, I have raisins here at the cereal factory. I just have 4 pallets left, which is why I haven't really bothered. But before, I would have a pile of honey pallets, and I would have a pile of raisin pallets ready to go to be fed into the cereal factory, and this area I would collect everything it had produced, and I would stack them along here ready for pickup when the price was right. Same down the street with the grape factory, or the raisin factory, or whatever you want to call it. I would move my pallets off of the... See, I've got even more raisins here. I really should do something about that. But I would take them off of here, and I would put them here out of the way, either ready to take to sale or take down to the cereal factory. My point is, I probably had 500 or 600 pallets sitting around at any one time when you factor in all of the production facilities you have. That's from the sawmill to the furniture production to the grape factory to the cereal factory to the dairy. Each one produces anywhere from 4 to 8 at least pallets. And like I said, that wouldn't include pallets I had sitting around. Now, that's not to say I was kind of miffed when I loaded into my game and half my pallets were gone when they put the pallet limit in place. Yeah. Fortunately, a modder came out very quickly with a script that disabled the pallet limit. I loaded a save game. If you've watched my video on that, you'll understand how it worked, and I was able to save the productions I had. But again, if I was a console player, I would be miffed. Especially as productions, and therefore pallets, were a key selling point of Farming Simulator 22. It wasn't just something like, oh yeah, here's a mod. No, this is something they were advertising as a key feature of the game. And I hate to keep harping on this. As a PC player, I was able to get around this, same as I can get around the animal limit. Not a big deal. For me, not for console players. The outrage from the community was swift, and it was very anti-Giants. Like I said, how to get around the pallet limit is my most watched video, and I'm a small channel. Giants turned around and they said, well, no, they're too proud to say they messed up. They said, oh, we will revisit it. But it took them several months before they were willing to revisit the fact that they created a problem with the pallet limit. And in my opinion, they still haven't fixed it. If I was on a console and I was limited to 150, I think it is on the new consoles, and 50 on the really old ones, like I said, 50 pallets is nothing. You can blow through that in no time. Considering I deliver 24, 25 pallets of wool a day, that doesn't include my eggs. There's my pallet limit pretty much taken up. Yeah. The fact that it took them so long to address the pallet limit, in my opinion, if I wasn't on a PC, would have been unacceptable. I'm not gonna harp on the pallet limit too much, because that's, well, it's like I said, it's kind of over and done with. There are workarounds, there are ways around it. The way it was dealt with was absolutely horrendous, in my opinion. And here we go. To me, and I've mentioned this before, to me the way they should have dealt with the pallet limit was to either increase the storage capacity of the production facilities, or to double the size of the pallet. Like this pallet of sugar I'm using as an example. They could have easily doubled that to 2,000 liters, fixed the mass. Yes, you wouldn't be able to stack two, you'd have to load one at a time, but at least you would have been able to run double the number of pallets. That would have been the logical solution to me, as opposed to a knee-jerk reaction. If they wanted to keep the number of pallets down so performance on older systems wasn't hurt. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on the pallet limit, as it's been discussed to death. It took them 2 or 3 patches to get it right, and in Giants' world, 2 or 3 patches is a long time. It never used to be, as far as I remember. If there was something that needed to be done, and I checked, they used to release hot fixes. So each patch filled with pallets. Now, speaking of patches, the latest patch, besides the whole issue with the save games and whatever else on the Xbox, it did something even worse. And this is, I don't know if there's a workaround script, I haven't looked for it, but what it did was it broke the game even further. Ever since the game came out, Giants has been having problems with contracts. first they got the field numbers wrong. They would tell you to run a contract in field 55, and it would turn out that it was actually 50, 51 or 50, and they were flipped around. Then they weren't happy with the amount of money people were making from contracts. For God knows why, just leave it alone. But they had to fiddle with that. And all of a sudden, people weren't making any money off contracts. So they fiddled with that again. It took them, again, several patches. And one of the patches came with a note saying, we have temporarily increased the contracts, or the amount you're going to make of the contracts. Enjoy it while you last. Part of the problem was contracts that required you to ship to the railroad weren't registering properly, or several other production facilities. So to get those contracts to register properly, well, for those of you that remember, basically it would tell you had to deliver 100,000 liters of grain to X point, whereas in reality you had to deliver a little bit more than that for it to register. And the trains were even worse. Notice now, and very secretly, there are no longer contracts involving the train. That was just taken out because they couldn't find a fix for it. Then the latest patch came out, and they had to fiddle with contracts yet again, and they completely broke it this time. Sidebar, why they couldn't have just left contracts as they were and have removed the train contracts from the game, I don't know. But for those of you that are not familiar, and there's 15, get this, no, not 15, it's 15 in one thread. There's another thread with almost as many posts about disappearing or broken contracts in the forums. I own most of this map, but there are still several fields that I don't own, especially up to the top right, where I should have contracts. But I don't. I have one baling contract. I don't have a single fertilizing contract. I don't have a single harvest contract when it comes to harvest time. I'm not too concerned on this map because, as you can see, I have made enough money off of contracts. Off of my farm. Now it's big enough that I'm not worried about running contracts for a couple of $1,000s. But this is also the map that was my complete beginner's guide. This is where I started to. Was my complete beginner's guide to Farming Simulator 22. And I'll give you a very quick recap. For those that never watched that video, we walked through what to do with these fields. You know, one needed harvesting, one needed cultivating, one needed the one needed cultivating and seeding, and the other one. So we walked through that. We also walked through contracts that were available in these fields around. And those contracts provided enough money for you to be able to lease a lime spreader, because those fields that were in the base game needed to be limed. If you wanted plowing, they needed to be plowed, so you had to lease a plow. And if you wanted to get ahead, contracts were also a good way to make a couple of $1,000s a month, so you could afford to start buying things like greenhouses and beehives. So you could actually start making more money year round, because January, February, as you all know, you don't make any money. So you wanted to have a little something in the bank. But contracts are completely kaput right now. To prove my point, I'm going to very quickly load into, and I'm going to disable all mods so nobody can say it's because I have a mod conflict. And I'm going to load into Elm Creek, just like I did when I first got my copy of the game. So give me a second and I'll bring you back in when we loaded. Alright, so here we are loading into Elm Creek. I'm just going to confirm my character. I don't care. No, I don't want to do the tutorial. Yeah. So here we are, owning the farm, like I said that we did the tutorial on. Look at that. These fields are empty. They're harvested. Oh, see that? One just disappeared. Two just disappeared. And that will probably, well, I'd say 95% chance of that disappearing any second. Gone. So well, actually, I'm surprised that's still sticking there. So I have one contract available where I can make $5,000 in August. There should have been a couple of fields for me to harvest for grain. Oh, see, I have no contracts available now. They vanished. The AI workers are just completing the contracts like that. So, a major source of income for starting farmers has been reduced or eliminated. Now, the reason I'm so upset about this, I'm not upset. There are workarounds, but I don't like, well, there really aren't workarounds other than cheating money into the game, and that's why I'm upset. I don't mind cheating money into a game where I'm doing a demo, so I can buy equipment to show you how it works. Those are different. Those are my demo maps. But I wanted to start, and I've been trying to decide on a map until Welka Farms comes out. I've been trying to decide on a map to start a new farm on, so I could do a Let's Play series. Because I'm kind of getting bored of Elm Creek, especially now I've hit that point where I'm making so much money I don't know what to do with it. So let's take a look at Westbridge Hills, because this is what I was, nostalgia hit me, and this is kind of what I wanted to do. Fertilizing. So I one possible contract available. The last time I loaded in, I had 4, and they rapidly disappeared in very quick succession. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time I drive down to the farm, the fertilizing contract is gone. Now, Westbridge Hills isn't so bad because there's not really much you need. You have a good selection of equipment to start off with. And I'm really surprised that contract, it's going to disappear in a second, just like it did on the Elm Creek we started. But you have a decent selection of equipment on this farm. You have a fertilizer spreader, you have a herbicide sprayer, or a liquid fertilizer spreader. You have all the equipment you need that you can get through a season. The only thing is, you only have one field to work with. So again, how are you supposed to make money while you wait for the price of wheat to get to its best sell point in January, where you can maximize the profit off this field? Now, bear in mind, your starting fields, and I think I'm pointing in the right direction. Yes, I am. Bear in mind, your starting fields are usually on a map. I don't know about this farm. I haven't filled with the settings, but they need lime. If I was to turn plowing on, it would need plowing. It's not really being fertilized, so my yield from this field is going to be crap. So I'm really not going to make any money off of it. It's too late to fertilize it because it's already at the harvest stage, and it's already too late to lime it. So I'm going to get minimal yield off that first field. My only real option would be to cheat in money so that I can buy another field, let's say soybeans or something else, take care of those now, and hopefully make some decent money off of it when it comes to harvest time. Oh, wow. 1 contract remaining. Now, Giants are aware of this problem. I think I mentioned that earlier, and they've said wait for patch 1.7. Well, 1.7 is not going to come out until the third DLC is released. Unless, miraculously, some reason, I won't say miraculously because I really pray that it doesn't, that something else game-breaking comes out. And they absolutely need to put out a fix. So it looks like I'm stuck on this map using the government subsidy cheat. So where's the hotfix? Like I said, I went through previous patches for Farming Simulator 19, and there were several items that required hotfixes. And we'll get to that in a minute because I'll tell you what the problem is there. The other thing that's bothering me right now is I listen to the podcast, and we have FarmCon going on, we have TwitchCon going on, and then we have GamerCon going on, all of which Giants are going to attend, and they're going to show off the flashy new features for the Platinum DLC, which again is a disappointment for a lot of people. According to the comments I've read, logging is not hugely popular, so I'm really hoping they announce something about the Platinum DLC which really expands it beyond just logging. And God knows what they're going to announce for the third DLC, but their track record for DLC so far has been absolutely horrible. The Ontario Carrero pack? That was a failure. I mean, I didn't want 10 100 or less horsepower tractors. The Kubota DLC? Yeah, I'll give them a thumbs up for that. That was pretty good. And I have used it, and I do like it. Again, I don't have a huge amount of time for it, though, because most of my farms outgrow that size of equipment pretty quickly. So Giants is busy. They've acknowledged the problem. In the meantime, they're busy painting over the holes in the wall, if you want to use that expression, and pretending everything is fine, and just wait till you see what's coming next. That's the message they're sending out. They have 3 community coordinators. Are these community coordinators not passing any information back to the bigwigs at Giants? I mean, Chacky posts one, I checked his average, 1 thread a day if you're lucky, which is the mod testing list in the forums. And once in a blue moon, they'll actually respond to a player concern. That sounds like a pretty stressful job. Ha! Yeah, that sounds like a job I want to retire on. So, at the end of the day, like I said, contracts, it's a big pain in the butt, but I'm not going to get too worked up about it because, yeah, I'm just going to end up, I'll probably add another 100,000 or 200,000 to either this map or whichever map I decide to start my next Let's Play on. I'm just very confused why Giants is not releasing a patch for such a major issue until the next DLC comes out. And then somebody pointed it out to me. And it completely makes sense. Giants is self-publishing now. So it's not like they're getting the complaints from, I forget who the publisher was before, Focus Interactive. So it's not like the complaints are coming in from the publisher who's saying, you know, we're getting a lot of complaints, can't you fix this game? The second thing is, with Giants being self-publishing, what they introduced in Farming Simulator 22 was a feature we all wanted. Well, I won't say we all wanted, but a lot of people wanted, and that was crossplay. Farming Simulator 19 was PC only for the PC version, and you brought a separate version for consoles. Console players could play together, and PC players could play together. So if there was a groundbreaking bug in Farming Simulator 19 on the PC, they could release a hotfix. Now, when they want to release a hotfix, it has to be released across 3 platforms. And that means it needs certification from Microsoft and Sony, as well as Giants' own team, to sign off on it. Giants doesn't want to have to pay Sony and Microsoft to release hotfixes. It's easier for them to wait for the patch to come out for the next DLC and have both tested at the same time. Like I said, this was something I thought, and I thought long and hard about how I was going to talk about the issue when I was recording the video. I didn't want to be overly bashful of Farming Simulator because I still think it's a fantastic franchise. I just think the way Giants are going about things right now, they're doing far more damage to their reputation than they need to be. I'm not the first YouTuber to criticize the way Giants is working right now. I saw a similar video from somebody in Europe not too long ago. And I honestly believe, like I said, this goes back to why I talked about the channel growing and the influencer, the bigger the channel gets, the more influence it has. Eventually more YouTubers are going to start to talk about these problems as the problems continue. And that is where it's really going to hurt Giants. It's not going to be the guy that goes to the forum and adds page number 16 to the already 15 pages of complaints about broken contracts. It's going to be YouTubers, because that's going to ultimately affect the bottom line. If the game keeps getting negative reviews or starts getting more and more negative reviews, sales are going to drop. And I've said this before in a previous video very briefly when we were talking about all the bugs. First, I think it was the pallets, and this is why I talked about it in this video. I don't see my job as a YouTuber to represent Giants and say to you, oh my god, you got to get this game, and then, oh, by the way, you got to buy through my Giants Insider Key so I get a feedback cut from Giants. No, if I want to do that, I can find other ways of making money selling video games. I can become a partner with the Epic Games Store, for example. But that's not the point. The point is, like I said, I honestly believe, and this is the reason I started the channel, was this is a great game, and I'm here to help you guys as a community out. And I'm here to represent you as a community. not the other way around. Now, I know there are other YouTubers that push the DLCs and they push the content and they tell you to buy through their key. That's fine. The biggest YouTuber, and I have to admire him for it, is Daggerwin. He has got a huge following in terms of subscribers. You once in a while will see him do a review and maybe mention you can if you want to use his code to get a copy of the game. But for the most part, he's quite happy doing his Let's Plays, and he has a big enough audience to do that. He doesn't give reviews. He doesn't do very many. He doesn't do mod reviews. He doesn't do reviews of new maps that are coming out. He has yet to comment on the Volvo DLC. And I like it the way he's doing it. He just keeps going. But for the rest of us that do reviews and do cover how-tos, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to do a how-to video only to find out there's a major bug and you can't make money. Kind of ruins the whole theme of the video. Like I said, hopefully other YouTubers will pick up on this and they will stop giving Giants a free pass on everything they do. But in the meantime, I would behoove you to, well, and I'm not just saying this to support this channel, but if you want to subscribe, go ahead. The bigger the channel gets, the more views it gets. And I swear to you, I will always do impartial videos. If something's broken, I'll tell you it's broken. And the bigger the channel gets, the more influence it has, and the more I have a much louder voice than just one person posting in the forums. Because I truly believe that until more people speak out, things aren't going to change in the way Giants operates. We're still going to have to wait 3 months for a patch to fix something that should be fixed immediately. Alright, I guess let's wrap things up because this video has gone longer than I wanted it to. Like I said, it's just that it was something I felt I owed you as a community to let you know where I'm coming from and why I value you as a community and why I make the videos. And I also believe, like I said, that just blindly making videos and pretending everything is wrong does you guys a disservice. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Definitely check out the new map that just came out. And yes, you will have to cheat in some money to be able to get up and running. But I think it's worth it. Alright, we will see you next week. Take care, Jay.